specializing early in a sport,
Hmm.
which obviously we're against. Like we believe that you should play multiple sports even until you're 16. But the way our system is set up in Europe, it's like super hard to continue to play multiple sports up until you're older.
How do you watch basketball? You mean someone else playing, yourself analyzing, and if you're watching, what do you kind of see when you are watching?
There's times where you need to listen to your body, and it's like, okay, like maybe today is better to stay at home. Like I said, doing more today is not going to help you, and that's where you kind of have to figure it out.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Basketball, Body, and Mind. Today, I'm joined by Alvaro Cardenas, a Spanish point guard, former player at Get Better Academy, where we actually met and we trained together there. After that, he received NCAA scholarship first at San Jose State and then transferred for the final season to Boise State and actually just got signed his first professional contract. So congratulations on that. In his senior year, Alvaro started all 37 games and set the single season assist record at Boise State with 256 assists and total assists in 4 years 628. But those who have been around Alvaro know that what separates him is not the stats. What really stands out is his work ethics, his dedication to the game, and most of all, his competitiveness. Not only against opponents or teammates, but against family members too. Alvaro, bienvenido.
That's so funny that you said that. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So where does that competitiveness comes from?
Yeah,
Father or mother?
I think you just said it already. I think it comes from within my family. My mom is a extremely competitive person. My dad is as well. A funny story about my mom. She would go swim in the mornings, and she would purposely get beside the guys that were supposed to be good, and she would try to like bust their ass. Um, and she could really swim, so they would get hella mad. But yeah, she's very competitive. My dad is super competitive, and then me and my brother, we've gone at it for a long time. We used to play in the backyard for like 3 hours straight, just one on one. I have to admit, I used to lose all the time until I didn't anymore, and then he never played me again. But yeah, I think that's kind of where it comes from.
Actually, this was the last question that I had for you. How old were you when you beat your brother one-on-one first time?
I'm gonna tell you a super funny story if you don't mind.
Just let's do it.
So we've been playing since we were super young. I mean, we played a million sports like badminton, football, everything you can think of, and we're always like super competitive about everything. But basketball,
Against each other?
huh?
Sorry, against each other or against others too?
Against others and against each other, both. But yeah, basketball in our backyard we used to play all the time, and he used to. I mean, the games would be super competitive, but for the most part, he would always beat me. I'd get him a couple games and every once in a while and stuff like that, but he would win most of the time. And then after I didn't beat him until I came back from Czech Republic. So he was still playing basketball by then, but that's when I started I asserted my dominance. And I remember we played. I think it was Christmas, and we're playing outside in my backyard. And our backyard is like we have a little court, and which is not a real court. It's just cement or whatever. And our pool is right next to it. And it's Christmas in Spain, and it is pretty cold. Like it gets to like I don't know, like maybe the time we were playing it was like 3, 4, 5 degrees, whatever it was. So we're out there playing, and I swear to you, I beat him so bad. Because we played games to like 21, and we played 5 games to 21. So we were playing for a long ass time. So I beat him 5-0. So this dude, he's fully clothed, like his shoes on, everything. He got so mad because he might be, I don't think he's more competitive than me, but he can't take losing at all. Um, and I remember he got so mad, instead of like punching me or something, he just jumped in the pool with everything on. And he like stayed, the pool is fucking freezing. And he just stayed there for like 15 minutes just trying to cool off. So yeah, it kind of shows you like how we are.
Yes, you answered also a few questions like you competed not only in basketball, you competed
Everywhere.
everywhere.
Yeah,
Any
ping
sport you would
pong,
do, everything.
everything. Yeah.
Yes. And what year or what, yeah, first of all, thank you for sharing the story. I don't know if your brother listening right now and maybe saying, oh, that's not true. I didn't do this. I didn't lose. It was 3-2.
No,
Maybe
no,
making
no,
your, because
no.
I know it can be.
Yeah,
No?
it can be like that, and we'll go back and forth about everything. But he can't deny that because it was bad. It was really bad. Yeah.
Okay. And what age did you start, since you did all these sports, what age did you decide to focus? Okay, basketball is my thing. I want to like go with it.
I think it's once I got into high school, and if it was up to me, I would have played multiple sports even until I was 16. And I think this is a conversation we've had in the past, about early special is like specializing early in a sport, which obviously we're against. Like we believe that you should play multiple sports even until you're 16. But the way our system is set up in Europe, it's like super hard to continue to play multiple sports up until you're older. So basically, once you get to high school, you kind of have to choose. And I was playing football all the way until I was 12, and then I kind of didn't like the environment of the sport and how parents would treat you, and it would be so many fights and stuff like that. So I chose to go to basketball, kind of a little bit influenced by my dad, but he never told me what to do. And yeah, it was a great decision. But like I said, if it was up to me, I would have. I still play multiple sports, and I try like during my vacations and stuff. I try to do as many things as I can.
Like one thing that I remember stood out during the COVID, we would be lifting like 5, 6 times a week.
Yeah.
And on Wednesdays, usually I would do something weird, either like a bowling with basketballs, or you would need to jump, another person repeats, barefoot training. And sometimes I would give you guys basketballs and I would do weird drills such as like with tennis balls, maybe to the wall, maybe dribble with two, maybe with eyes closed, like all of these things. And what really like is maybe I'm just remembering my memories, but what I really remember seems that you were the one who stood out. You were like, give me more
Yeah.
challenging, more challenging. Maybe it could be due to those different sports that you did that you were able to quickly learn new skill in terms of like dribbling.
Yeah, and I
And
think
this is what I was thinking.
I think that's also something that I think a lot of people make a mistake. It's like they think just because you specialize in a sport early that's gonna, make you a better player overall. But playing many different sports just makes you a more coordinated person. I think it also helps avoiding injuries. I've been surfing my whole life, skateboard. Like I said, all these different sports. We do parkour. We do the whole summer. We're going cliff jumping and stuff like that, which I have to not do anymore because it's in my contract. but
Yes.
but yeah, I mean, all those things I think help you be a more be able to learn skills quicker and adapt to the environment and stuff like that. So
Yes, there was a article in Denmark done with the Olympic, not champions but medalists, and they found out that those Olympic medalists they were specializing at 15.9 years old in one sport.
yeah,
So it just proves the
yeah,
point. And now let's go back to the basketball. You focus on one sport, and then you, after GBA, you go to the USA. What, or like, how did the level of basketball compared to Europe, where you were playing, even in the COVID, you play in fourth division of Spain, then we were playing also in GBA a little bit.
yeah.
Like, how the level is different when you compare your age? Is it much different, or did it match your expectations?
Yeah, it's a very different game in the sense of like if you're thinking about tactically, like I feel like Europe is on a different level. There are really, there's bad coaches everywhere, but I feel like coaches are more. They need to go through a process of getting a license and all that stuff here in Europe, and in the US it's not like that. You kind of just you become a student manager and then you become a video coordinator, so you can be under the same program and become an assistant coach and eventually a head coach, and you kind of don't learn from other like other areas or other people, or there's no like an actual license to become a coach. So I mean, tactically,
Mm-hmm.
I think Europe is a lot better. But my biggest struggle was getting used to athleticism and the quickness of the players that I started to play against in the U.S. How fast they were, how strong they were. And that's why I knew that the weight room work was going to be so important. And I think me taking it so serious and like working so hard in the weight room, even though I still wasn't ready my freshman year, because that's the reality of it. Eventually, I caught up to all those guys. So
Yes, yes. Like one of the things that we were talking every week during the COVID, we would sit down with Gilbert. Gilbert is the skill coach that we were working in GBA together.
yeah,
For those who don't know, so we would sit down and next to your name, and we would go through every single player, and next to your name was like mass, just add mass. And Gil thought like you need to stand out since you are 6'1". He said he needs to stand out. He will be bumping people. He needs to just like you need to stand out from the everyone, because as soon as they spot you, they take you to the team, they will like you and they will like what you can deliver.
yeah,
So one of the goals when we were working with you was remember all the shrugs and biceps and presses, and you did like 50 each hand, 50 kilos each hand dumbbell bench press. So okay, not full range of motion maybe, but still we
halfway
were
there.
touching those weights. Say
Yeah,
again.
yeah, halfway there. But yeah,
So you feel that that helped you, but still not enough, at not enough level when you went to the USA.
yeah. Like I said, it was the big, because I had done some weight room work the 2 years before, but I also think it comes with your body maturing and you growing older. Because I look at pictures from when I got to the U.S. and I look like a kid. And I still do, but it's bad. Like I see pictures from 4 years ago, and I'm like, damn, how was I even playing?
So what is the difference when you see it? You feel like that maturity or like muscle wise?
Everything. I feel like my body's more mature. I'm stronger. I think I grew a little bit. Obviously, I have a little bit of facial hair now, but yeah, overall, like I said, I think we did a great start in GBA with you, and I'm super grateful for everything we did. Um, and I think you had written down how many sessions we did during those 6 7 months that we were there. We didn't miss a lot of days. But yeah, I think it was a great start. But like I said, it doesn't change in 1 year. That's the reality of it, especially when I'm a late bloomer and my body's still adapting to all that. So yeah, it was good, and I think I had a good start. But I still wasn't ready physically, because the gap is so big, and not just like mass, but also like my burst and moving quicker. I think I got so much more athletic over my 4 years in the U.S. and that's just that's something that I struggle with, and I had some really bad games my freshman year, and a lot of it because I wasn't physically ready. But when you keep putting that work in the weight room and you understand the importance of it, it gives you good results.
Yes, yes, good results. Yes, exactly. And after three years in San Jose State, sorry, you were averaging, I think, like if I did my math correctly, like 10 plus points, 4.5 assists. Why did you decide to transfer? You were getting minutes, you were scoring, you were like, because I read stats also that almost 65% of the people who enter the portal, they end up going to the lower level.
Yeah.
Were you sure that you will like change for good, or you said I'll just try because it's my last year?
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, every year at San Jose, I got better. Like I started averaging 6 points a game, then the next year 10 points a game, the next year almost 14 and like 5.5 assists. So every year I got better. And the reality of it is like a lot of people just transfer and think the grass is greener on the other side. But I think I stayed patient. I understood that in order for your role to, this is something that I tell the younger guys when they want their role to be great from the beginning. I think you got to be a star in your role, and then your role will increase. You know what I mean? And people want everything so quick, and they don't understand that it's a progress. It needs you need time for your coaches to trust you and put you in those situations to be successful. So in my case, I think I kind of just hit a ceiling at San Jose State. The reality of it is it's a great conference, but it's a school with very little resource. Especially now with the NIL situation, it's hard to compete against the other teams in our conference that are going to the March Madness every year. Um, there's no fans. It was just we had two really bad years and one really good year where we had the best year in school history. And I didn't want to take a gamble on a rebuilding team again. Like I wanted to go somewhere where I was sure that I was going to be able to compete for the conference championship and go into the go into the NCAA tournament. And I wanted to have that college experience of playing for a different coach too. That was something big for me. Being able to continue to develop my game, playing for somebody that allowed me to be myself and allowed me to be creative and not think about the mistakes so often. And also just like I said, just live the college experience, play in front of 13,000 fans. Like I knew that I did it the right way, and I knew that I would have a lot of offers if I entered the portal because, I had been one of the better point guards in the NCAA the year before. And even though, like, I didn't get the recognition I thought I deserved from, like, maybe high majors because I played at San Jose State, I think I ended up in the perfect spot this year.
Yes, yes. I know like many, like when summer comes, so many players enter the portals, and I always think, is it really like the right decision? Because I'm not there, I'm not the agent, I'm not the head coach, I don't know, but it seems like there are so many changes that are you really looking for that grass is always, as you say, grass is always greener on the other side, but for you it turned out well. And do you think that the last year that you made that assist record, and like 12 points, 7 assists per game, approximately, like 3+ rebounds, do you think that was for you like accident, meaning like a luck, or you started to do something, or it's just a consistent work that you were doing every single year, and only on the last year it kind of showed the results? Or did you do something differently?
Huh?
Did you do something differently that year, like training wise? That's why you got the results, or it was a result of many years previously?
Yeah, no, if I'm being honest, I don't think my only good year was my last year. Like I had a lot of, I think every year I did a lot of positive things. The only difference why people might think this was my best year is because I was playing for a much better program. And when you play for a winning team, it makes that much more of a difference. So, I averaged less points, for example, in the season before, but I did have a lot more assists because that's kind of what the team needed,
Yes.
But I didn't shoot it as well as my third year in San Jose, for example. So, but like you said, it's not, for sure it wasn't a luck thing. Like this is just, well, me, Stan, like it's just a consistent work that I put in every day. And if anything, I think something that I've kind of learned a little bit more is that sometimes more is not better, or you know what I mean, like doing more and more is not better. And I'm still in the gym every day, 3 times a day, but I'm learning to listen to my body and to maybe some days I have to cut off a little bit because I'm not feeling my best. But yeah, it's definitely not luck. It's just me being consistent every day, and especially those days when I don't feel like being in the gym, because the reality is there's a lot of days where I don't want to go to the gym, especially now in Spain when it's freaking 40 degrees and and I'm in the gym is at 4 p.m. So, but it's just, you can't kind of negotiate with yourself. You just, you set your schedule and you just follow it.
Like you said, I know that you are working hard, because just one story out of many. We would start COVID year. We would start like 6:30. You would have your skills like at least a couple of hours. Then you come to the weight room like 9, 10 approximately. Maybe would stay a little bit extra. So another group is doing the skills. You just shooting by yourself by the gun, by that machine. Then you would come to the weight room. You do your work. And then after that, you would go to the little stairs. You would put your mini bands around, and you would just work on the quick feet. And then Gil or I would say like, get out, get out.
Yeah.
And then we just go to, like, he would go to the basketball court. I would go to the weight room. And you still, like, after 1 hour, he's like, you're still there. You're still here. Go out, move, go home and rest.
Yeah. Yeah, that was funny.
Yes. So look, you are like, definitely one of the best. You were one of the best point guards in not only in the conference but in all NCAA.
Yeah.
So how did you when you would need to think, maybe summarize it a little bit, is there anything specifically you do to develop that kind of decision making and in general your like dribbling passing skills?
Well, I have to give a lot of credit to, my dad and the way he's coached me. He's kind of like, he's one of the best people out here in Spain in terms of developing players. Like he goes all over the country and, goes to different conferences and talks about, how he believes people should be trained. I think one of the biggest mistakes these days is, the trainer culture and, you're not going to improve your decision making if all you do is 1-on-0. It's just not going to work. You know what I mean? Because the game is a game of reaction, and I think a lot of people abuse that, and that's not how we train. We believe in a different theory and a different way of training, where you kind of set scenarios for the players to have to develop skills. So, for example, if I want to, well, I do some of that, but if I don't want to work on my handles, I'm not just gonna work on 1-on-0 and start doing all these combos. Yeah, that can make me feel a little bit more comfortable, but that's not how I really learned to dribble and learn where to dribble, when to dribble. It was a lot of different drills that we did where I'm going 1-on-2, or I'm being put in like small-sided games where we're restricting the space and where you can't turn your back and you have to pass without picking the ball up with two hands. So that's kind of how we trained in my club, and that's why I think I got so much better with all that stuff. And then obviously a lot of it comes as well from watching basketball. I think I try to do everything in my power to continue to learn every day. So watching basketball, watching my practice, analyzing what I could have done better in each situation is a big part of it too.
How do you watch basketball? You mean someone else playing, yourself analyzing? And if you're watching, what do you kind of see when you are watching?
Yeah, well, you see a lot of things. For example, if I'm analyzing a game, usually I'll get on Synergy. My assistant coach will give me their passwords and stuff, and I'll watch whatever game I want. I watch a lot of EuroLeague, and I try to see what guys in my position do. Like, an example, Facundo Campato, not just how he scores, but how he gets to his spots, how he plays defense, how he does the little things. And I think as I grow older and know more basketball, I pick up on a lot of more things. And the same way, one thing I've always done my 4 years in the U.S., and I know a lot of people didn't do this, every single practice it gets posted to, for example, in a platform called Huddle or whatever the team is using, and you can always watch it back. So I know some of the student managers or video coordinators hated me because if they didn't post it right away, I would be texting them. But yeah, I think I learned a lot from that. Every single practice, I watch it back and I see. I'm not watching the 1-on-0 stuff, but I'm going to the 5-on-5 and seeing, okay, what could I have done better? I'm kind of analyzing every read that I make and how I could have, maybe done something better in that situation.
When did you start watching your game?
I think I started my last year of high school here in Spain. I started watching the games back. In Czech Republic, the few games that we played, I watched them. I also watched our scrimmages all the time, our 3-on-3s. And it's kind of been a consistent routine of mine to do that.
Okay, because I also think it's important, but what we usually watch is highlights. We do not analyze, but we watch highlights and let's say those things that when you score a good pass or dunk, whatever. But the learning is happening, as you said, like where did I do a turnover? Maybe you did turnover in passing, so then go and do 30 times the same situation, do the same thing, and maybe later you will not do that.
But the thing is, like, with the game scenario, and I think that's kind of what I was referring to. Okay, so first of all, you don't only learn from your mistakes. I think that's a misconception. You can also learn from the positive things you do if you analyze it the right way. You know what I mean? Like, okay, maybe I did this, but I could have done this better, or you know what I mean? But then, like you said, if you say, okay, well, I'm going to do this and repeat it 30 times. Well, the thing is, like, you're never going to encounter that exact same situation. You know what I mean? Yes. So, yeah, I missed this pass, but me going to the gym and working on this pass, yeah, it can help me, but that's why I think it's important to play and to put yourself in that your coaches put you in those scenarios where you can make those like similar reads again. Yeah.
So if you find then your, let's say, turnover or your weak spot,
Yeah.
if you will, weak spot, how would you work on that if you will not get into the same situation?
Yeah. So for example, I don't know. Imagine I'm thinking every time I come off a ball screen going to my left, I'm struggling to kind of read the tag or one thing I was like, I need to be able to throw the lob with my left hand. Well, that's going to be a thought of mine going into next practice. That if I get in that situation, I'm going to try to do that. You know what I mean? And maybe the next practice
Okay.
I don't get a chance to do it, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. Or okay, I'm playing against New Mexico and they're hedging me super hard, and I pick the ball up too early. Then I know for the next game, every time I play against New Mexico, I want to keep my dribble alive. I'm going to hit the short roll, things like that. You know?
Okay, yeah. It's nice that you went into details and explained because I really think people are not watching enough of the basketball. They're not analyzing it enough and kind of learning
Yeah.
enough of that. And during the season, I assume, as you said, like you do that every time. You said about the manager, but is your training during the season more like what people say, like maintenance, or you still push hard yourself during the season?
Yeah. Well, during the season, I think that's something I did much better this year because I remember my first years in San Jose. I overdid it sometimes. Like I would lift before the game, or like, and then I get to Air Force where we're playing in altitude, and it's like 7,000 feet, and I'm like destroyed. And I'm like, okay, like I need to understand that the work is done during the season. You know what I mean? Like you say, it's maintenance, but you're gonna get better through just playing games. And what you need to make sure is that you're fresh at during the game. That's the most important thing. And you're playing a lot of games in a short period of time. So that's something that I learned throughout the year. But yeah, for example, if I give you an example of what I used to do during the year, before
Tell.
I got to Boise, I used to be a guy that would do weight room, would practice, and then I come back at night at like 8 p.m. and shoot again. But what I realized is that it was harder for me to get more rest because having to come back to the gym so late at night, it's like I feel like I didn't get as much rest as I needed, and also like the whole day you're doing basketball, you know. So what I did this year, and I changed, and I think it worked out really well. Also because of the schedule we had, is I would do a 30-minute workout, just 30 minutes before my weight room session. Then we go to the weights. Then we have our actual practice, and then after practice, I stay another 30, 45 minutes, and then maybe by 3, 4, 5, whatever, however long we went in practice, I'm done. And then the rest of the day, I don't have to come back to the gym. So I got the same amount of work done, even more, but I still feel like I got so much more rest. And that's kind of how I did it throughout the year. Maybe there's times where I'm like, the day before the game, I'm only doing 15 minutes and 15 minutes after, or something like that. Just making sure that when I get to the game, I'm like super fresh.
Yes, I mean, on the first episode that I recorded with Sedekerskis, he was saying that he used to do the same. He's like, just extra hour, go in the evening, shoot, shoot, shoot. And then later he realized actually more important is to do a little bit, but let's say, as you say, like after the practice, stay 15, 30 minutes extra, shoot, and then go and rest. So he was saying the same things as you are. I mean,
Yeah,
unfortunately, you learn by your mistakes, if
exactly.
we call it mistakes. Maybe it's not mistakes, but this is how we learned.
For sure.
And when you are talking now, not talking, but when you are working on your skills, like, and you were very, I think, low on turnovers.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would kind of do or don't do to minimize those turnovers?
Yeah. So if I'm being honest with you, like it's an interesting topic because this is not to criticize my previous coaches or anything, but I don't even think you'll see this. But the reality of it is like when I was playing at San Jose, I got every time I would turn the ball over, it would be an issue with the coach, and it would be like he would say something and that's kind of just the way he coaches. Nothing against it. I don't believe in that, but that's kind of how he coached. And I think something that I was looking for my last year was somebody that would allow me to pray freely without having to think about that. Because a lot of times it's like, okay, obviously I don't want to turn the ball over. You know what I mean? So if I turn the ball over and somebody's yelling at me every time, then I like how to say, like I double think my read. You know, if I
Hmm.
see something and I'm like, oh, that's risky, I'm not gonna do it, then that ends up being a turnover. So I think my last year, even though it's the year that I averaged the most turnovers, like 2.5 or something, it was still I think my best assist to turnover ratio because I didn't have to worry about that every single time I made a decision. And that's, I think, the 3 years before is why I lost some of my creativity that I had. And I think this year I got a lot of it back because I was just able to play without in the back of my head thinking every time I make a mistake is going to be an issue. You know what I mean? And like I said, it's you don't want to be always worried about making a mistake because mistakes are going to happen. It's just part of
Hmm.
basketball. So obviously there's certain turnovers that you can't have. And I think I've understood that with experience. Like there's just certain things you can't do.
For
Um,
example.
let's say like you don't want to turn the ball over, bring the ball up the court. You know what I mean? Like that's something
Hmm.
that. But if I maybe turn the ball over because I'm making a kind of a pass that can lead to a basket and it's not going to lead to a layup, then that's something I might take because it also most of the time is going to lead to a dunk or whatever.
Hmm.
But there's just certain turnovers that you can't have. And I've understood that with experience, but I think my coach at Boise, Coach Rice, he's helped me a lot in that because he didn't, he just allowed me to be myself, and I never had to worry about, making those type of mistakes.
What do you say to yourself, or maybe what you used to say to yourself a couple years ago or 3 years ago, and what do you say right now when you have turnover? What is
Yeah, I'm
that
still,
like the
I'm
voice in your
still
head?
learning, but I think I made a lot of progress in like, and I tell the younger guys like not getting stuck in the past in that previous play and not letting it. You don't want one mistake to affect the next play. You don't want to make two mistakes in a row. So, for example, in the past, I used to be like super super hard on myself. I still am, but I think I've grown a lot since then. And it's very interesting because we this year we have like a book club, and three of the players in my team we got together with my coach and we read this book called Let It Go. Um,
Hmm.
it was
Is
an
it
interesting book.
by Mel Robbins?
I'm not
No,
sure. I would
Let
have
It Go.
to.
Is it a woman?
No, I don't think so. No, no, no.
No. Okay, so no,
It's a
maybe
yellow
Let
book.
It
I'll
Be.
send it to you. But it was
Okay.
interesting because it talks about that, like just being able to let things go and not getting so stuck in, because that's one of the issues that I dealt with a lot of my like I'm always thinking about the previous mistake and not moving on to the next way without letting it affect you. So I'm still in the process of doing that. I'm still young, and I think once that really clicks in my head, like I think that's where I'm gonna make my biggest jump as a player. For me, I think it's all mental. So being able to, like I said, just letting things go and moving on to the next thing is super super important.
Like, I want to talk a little bit more about your mindset. This is what I'm like trying to get in your head, and
Yeah.
that's why I'm asking about the voices in your voices in your head,
Hmm.
about the voices that you talk to yourself. But also, like, training wise, how do you talk to yourself? Like, as you say, like, I don't want to do those many training sessions, but you still get up and go. Why do you go? What motivates you? Do you say something to yourself? Like, for example, like myself, I don't want to wake up early in the morning. I still wake up like 5 to 6 a.m. every morning because, like, I'm asking the questions like, hey, remember, you are doing this, and then I say the person name, and it motivates me to get up from the bed. But
Yeah.
what techniques, if you have any?
Yeah, I think I don't even put it as an option. You know what I mean? Like if I say I'm gonna do something, I'm just gonna do it, and there's no way I can back up from it. Or like, I think Kobe said it one day, like I'm not negotiating with myself every time. So like,
Hmm.
I'm laying in the couch and I'm like, I really don't feel like going to practice. But in my head, it's not even an option. Like I'm gonna
You
go.
say that, but you know, like, okay, I know I will go, but
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
right?
Like there's no way I'm not going. And that also can be sometimes like a bad thing because there's times where you need to listen to your body, and it's like okay,
Hmm.
like maybe today is better to stay at home. Like I said, doing more today is not gonna help you, and that's where you kind of have to figure it out. But I think us as athletes, and the more experience you gain, when those days are. Um, but yeah, I try. I think one of the things I live by is like I don't want to like look back in regret of what I could have done. Like I want to, if the way I am, if I put everything in my power to be the best player I can be and be the best person I can be, then I can live with the results, But if I finish my career and I'm like, damn, like I really could have, done this or that, then that would be like, I don't think I could forgive myself for that. So I think that's kind of where it comes from.
Yes, having those no regrets is true, but also, as you say, it can really hurt you. I heard on the podcast Jacko Willink. He's like ex-Navy SEAL. He has written a book called Extreme Ownership, I think so. But he was saying about these days off, because I don't know how to separate when you really need a day off or you just being lazy. Maybe right
Yeah.
now I know better, but he was saying, look, you wake up, you feel like shit, you don't want to do anything. Take day off tomorrow. If you feel that you need a day off, take it tomorrow. Today, I know you still have power for one more day, but you feel like not good, take it tomorrow. And I thought it's interesting approach. He said you always have a power for one more, and I don't know. I haven't used it yet, but I think that is something that I'm going to do.
Yeah, I think that's interesting too because of, that strength of mind of like the days that you don't want to go to the gym are kind of the most important ones. Because it's kind of like like a mental battle within yourself.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
like that. That's super interesting.
Yes. And do you work with yourself, not only like, how to say, okay, so do you work mentally? And what I
Yeah.
mean mentally, maybe any kind of tricks that you do, or maybe you do some meditation, like for focus, like box breathing or anything like that. Do you work on your mind?
Yeah. So I've started working with a sports therapist. He's somebody from Spain. I've been working with him for the past like 2-3 years, and it's not like we meet every week, but every time I feel like like I need some advice or I'm like not in the best state, I talk to him, and he's great. And he's given me a lot of advice and a lot of things that I can work on. I've started meditation. I'm not as consistent as I should be, if I'm being honest. Like, for example, the same way I'm like super consistent with my work in the gym, I haven't been as consistent with my meditation, and that's another step that I can take. And I'll do it for like 3 weeks in a row, and then I stop for 2 weeks. So I need to be able to build that habit and not lose it. But
Why do you think, sorry to interrupt, but why do you think you are consistent in there, but not consistent in
I
this?
think
Because you
it's
don't see
just
the results?
yeah. I think it's because maybe I don't see this is just as important as the other thing. You know what I mean? And I do know it's important, and I have time in my day. It's not like yeah, you have a lot of things, but then you're scrolling for 20 minutes. It's like, okay, you definitely could have
Exactly.
used that time in a better way. So it's something that I'm thinking in my head again, like, okay, I need to get back to doing this consistently. And I know one day I'm gonna be able to get there. But other things that I'm working on is like my self-talk and how I like process the failure, or like when things are not going my way. That's one of my biggest things. One thing that I started to do and use a lot in my practice is visualization. I've been consistent with that. I used to do it, maybe before practice, after practice. The latest thing where I'm talking to my therapist is using it during practice. So, for example, something that I started to do a lot is whenever a shot doesn't feel good, I can't find the feeling that I'm looking for, I do my mental reps in my head where I'm feeling the ball. I'm thinking I'm visualizing how I want the ball to come out of my hand and how I see it go through the rim. And I do that in between reps in my workouts, and I think it helps me a lot to get back to that. That's something that I've been using a lot, and it's been helping me. I do it before games all the time. I always meditate before games. I do that. I do some like self statements where I kind of tell myself how good I am, and certain things, and then I also visualize parts of the game, positive actions and stuff like that. We've been doing a lot of work, and I think I'm improving a lot in that. As I think meditation every day, I'm still not there, but I'm gonna get there. But yeah, just I don't know, just a few different things. I don't know if something else I can think of. Another thing that we talk a lot about because of how I am is like being like process oriented and not result oriented. Because a lot of times it's like you get mad when you miss shots, and instead of that, what we've been working at is working on the sensation. Like, okay, I'm looking for the feeling, not necessarily for the shot going in. You know what I mean? So if the ball feels good and
Physical
I feel,
feeling?
yeah,
Physical feeling, like you mean
yes.
how the
Like
ball
for
feels,
example,
or
like I
like
just want
feeling
to focus
inside?
on the shot coming off right and me like focusing on leaving my hand up and stuff like that. And if the ball doesn't go in, just not letting that affect the next shot.
Yes, I mean, like this is the name, like basketball, body, and mind. So idea behind is you have to take care of three things
Yeah.
in order to be good. Like just take a little step, basketball wise, body wise, and mind wise. So this is the either routines or like trainings or whatever. But I really like that you were talking also about the visualization. I talked with Kerdu, like a mindset coach on episode 9, and we were talking about that also. And funny thing, I started, I don't know, maybe 2022, so 3 years ago. And you know what? I'm not so consistent, but I tell you what,
Why
like
not?
I I tell like 5 things I was visualizing.
Yeah.
Within 2 years, 3 things came true, and I was not even aware. Like I was imagining how it feels and everything, doing it
Yeah.
according to the, let's call it, rules.
Mm-hmm.
And when those things happened, I was sitting and like I'm meditating, visualizing, and I'm like, actually, this is the moment that I was thinking
That's
about, like
that's
almost for
awesome.
2 years.
Yeah.
You know.
Damn, that must have been a cool
It
experience.
Indeed, indeed. It's so definitely you will have that too.
Mm-hmm.
Look, so now talking a little bit about ahead, what is ahead of you. So you
Yeah.
finish your college, you have your first year, first professional contract.
Yeah.
How do you think? Okay, first of all, was it a surprise for you to get signed with the professional team, or you were
Um.
expecting?
Yeah. I mean, signing with Valencia is it's a huge deal, man. Like it's one of the best clubs in Spain, playing EuroLeague now. Like I don't know if it doesn't surprise me. It kind of does though. Just because not because I don't think I'm good enough, but because it's just like it's not normal for somebody to come out of college and sign with the EuroLeague team straight away. Even though I'm going on loan the first year, my agents did a really good job. I did a really good job, and Valencia was huge because they kind of saw something in me and they trusted that I can become a part of their future. So yeah, it did surprise me a little bit, but like I said, it's not because I don't think I'm good enough. It's kind of because of how things go usually after college.
What do you think will be different this year when you are a pro compared to the college? Will you do anything differently?
Will I do anything differently? I'm not sure. I think I'll continue to learn as I go on. I'm obviously stepping into a whole different world where there's a lot of pressure and like I'm playing for a professional team with grown ass men. It's gonna be super different. The European game is also super different from what I'm used to the last 4 years. So there's gonna be a lot of like new things that I have to adapt to. But I think one of my best traits is that I'm able to adapt to new environments super quickly. So I don't think I'll have an issue, but it's definitely going to be challenging.
Yeah, yeah, no school. Curious, is there any specific area that you kind of thinking that you want to improve besides meditation or like take it to the next level? Is there anything that you would think of?
Yeah, I think most of it is just my mindset. Like I think we've touched on it along the podcast, but I think once I fully believe how good I am, and I think that's where I'm gonna make the biggest jump in my life as a player. And there's obviously things off the court that we can discuss at a different time, but in terms of like in basketball, like I do think my biggest jump is gonna come from the mental side of things because the work is gonna be put in regardless. So I think it just comes from maturing and being able to move on from mistakes and being able to like have that ultimate confidence in myself.
Yes, yes. Man, I'm very curious to see how everything will go. I'm really, truly rooting for you. So, look, let's go to the last part. The questions will be, some of them, maybe one will be a little bit longer, but the questions are shorter ones, and your answers can be either yes, no, or it can be short or long answers, really up
Okay.
to you. If you want to keep it very short, you can keep it very, very short.
For
Okay?
sure. Let's do it.
So about the brother, you already answered, but best memory from COVID years.
Uh, just off the top of my head is me, you, and Moby going to that deer farm, like those like morning or early morning walks. We
Yes.
used to wake up at like 5 a.m. and meet with Stan at whatever freaking time he wanted, and go on these super nice walks. That just came up to me right now.
That's nice. I think I would still have a video, or I remember a video you guys running there because you were late and we
Yeah,
had
yeah,
to,
yeah.
I don't know, some kind of deal that you cannot be late and you
I
were like
remember.
a little bit maybe. What advice would you give to a young European player dreaming about going to college?
I say dream big, like that's something that Gil told me and I never forgot about that. I think in Europe a lot of times we like kind of, I don't know, we see the NBA so far, or we kind of put a lot of limits on ourselves, and I think it's important to dream big, and obviously with that comes putting the work. Is not just going to happen naturally, but don't be scared to dream big and think outside of the box, and yeah, that's what I would say.
The last year when we were in GBA working with Gil, he had his main word was believe. So maybe it goes a little bit in hand, but I really like this. What comes to your mind when I say hardest moment in your basketball career?
That's interesting. um Hardest moment. I mean, I've had a few. The two that come to my head, uh, one was probably when I changed clubs in Granada, because I feel like I stopped having fun with basketball because I was just at a club that I didn't think I was, I didn't think they believed in me, and I think I needed to go somewhere else where I could enjoy basketball again. That's when I was like 14 or something. And then another year was after my freshman year in college. Like, I mean, it was hard. Like, it wasn't easy to, go through all of that. And my third year as well. It's like you feel like you put so much into the game and you do everything that's in your power to win games. And ultimately, that's what it's all about. And I mean, the team is just not good enough. And it kind of, there's a few games where I just, after game, I was just crying because I'm like, I hated losing and I couldn't take that, people not taking it serious and not, and also we just didn't have the roster to win games, and it wasn't easy, but
Okay, last two short questions. Do you take days off?
yes.
Yes. When did you start taking day off?
I
This is my
started,
question. This is not the second question.
I started maybe last year. Yeah, I think last year I started to take Sundays off, or this is the first year in my life where I started taking days off basketball where I wouldn't touch the ball. Um,
Yes.
it's important to get your mind off basketball, and I'm still active during the day. It's not like I'm laying in bed, but it's super important.
Yes.
You guys
And
told me,
last,
but I
let's
didn't
fin
I didn't
let's
believe
say,
you guys.
uh, yeah, it took us 3 years
Yeah.
to convince you. And last, let's finish on a good note. So, what is your favorite basketball memory?
Um, I think there's a little bit of recency bias right now. But those we played two games in the conference tournament this year, and those are like some of my. They were such good games. Like, we beat San Diego State, which I hadn't beat my whole college career. I was 0-9 coming into that game, and we beat New Mexico in the semifinals, and then we ended up losing the championship game. But those two games, I just remember, like, they were just so fulfilling, and we had such a good group of guys. We were so connected. Um, I don't know. Like I said, it's recency bias, but it kind of the first thing that comes to my head. But it was just amazing to be able to get those wins and have our fans with us So yeah.
Okay. Look, I'll summarize. That's what I do. I summarize in three kind of key takeaways that I believe, not I believe, but what I took from this
Yeah.
conversation. So, first one is definitely many sports.
Hmm.
That, as you said, like in Europe, we focus on that one sport so early that it leads usually to not the best results in a long term. Maybe you are dominating at age 14, 15, but later you maximize your chances by doing those more sports,
Hmm.
many sports. So that's one that I took. Another thing is about the competitiveness and work ethics that you have in yourself that is super important. You cannot expect, as you said, like you had a great season, but every season was good for you. But also all the work that you did led to the place where you are right now. It's not the talent. I'm not saying that you're not talented, but talent is not enough. If you didn't have the work ethics you have, I'm saying specifically to you, you definitely would not be at the place where you are right now. And the
Hmm.
lastly is the mind game.
For sure.
You do the weight room, you do the bench press, you do your shooting repetitions, everything, but only for last 2 3 years you included the mind game.
Hmm.
That's why the name is basketball body and mind. You have to work on the mind too. So if you get those three done, it's great things are going to happen. So these are my three key takeaways from the conversation we had.
Yeah, I think that's spot on.
Perfect. Alvaro, thank you so much for sharing your journey, your mindset. Thank you for letting us inside your head a little bit. I think young players, especially those who are considering going to the USA, will learn a lot from this episode. So thank you very much.
Of course. Thank you, my brother. It's a pleasure.
And for everyone else, thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and share this episode. This is the best way to support us. But for now, keep training, basketball, body, and mind.